Dr. R.K. Pachauri, Director General TERI, a dear friend, a very eminent Indian, the Chairman of the National Innovation Council, Mr. Sam Petroda, Mr. Peter Becker, Mr. Sudhir Vasudeva, Ms. Annapurna, CEOs and delegates attending the Sustainability Summit, ladies and gentlemen. I was very happy when Dr. Pachauri wrote to me informing about the summit of the CEOs to address this important question which has been agitating the scientific community as well as the economies and the industry for quite some time now. There have been conferences and discussions where best of the minds come together, benefiting from what others have spoken before them to grapple with the challenge which is global. I am conscious that I am talking to those who are better informed on this subject. Over the years, TERI has done commendable work, Dr. Pachauri and his team, in sensitizing and informing public opinion, in taking initiatives which are national and global to address the issue of climate change and to prepare the society, the institutions, the industry, as well as multilateral organization to work in a manner that the interventions are effective, they are timely, and they give the desired results, the positive results. Now, this is not easy. I'm sure those who have been working in this field are well aware that it's full of challenges. Challenges because we live in a world which is complex, which is interconnected, where technologies, the existing ones and new ones, keep on testing the boundaries. And as more minds and resources are invested in technologies, the larger question of development, industrialization, and the kind of balance and the harmonious blend which is required to make it sustainable becomes paramount. Even though we live in a globalized era, the countries which inhabit planet Earth come from different levels of development. They are countries who have not only technologies but the wealth, because they are the beneficiaries of the Industrial Revolution and the development of technologies which the decade after the Second World War saw. And there are countries who have, for historical reasons, lagged behind, who have monumental developmental challenges, challenge of people's empowerment, education, basic health services, poverty alleviation, malnutrition, and beyond. So in this world, how do we move forward in a manner that those who need to benefit from what others have, not the resources, but the technologies too? It's true that last decade and this decade has seen a wave of technologies. Today the mantra is green technologies or clean technologies, and much is being said about that. After the economic crisis, there have been tendencies when we are talking of technical barriers to trade in the name of carbon tax and reduction of carbon intensity. That has to be there. Energy intensity and carbon intensity has to come down. But what has been accepted 20 years ago at Rio, later the Kyoto Protocol, all countries accept that this is our collective responsibility. Common but differentiated. Now that is the principle. Differentiated because of the different levels of development I was referring to, and also the per capita greenhouse gas emissions. I know that this has been questioned or resisted, but this is something which has been accepted. Because there are countries which will have to grow, as Sam Petroda was saying. Countries in Africa, countries in Asia, countries in South America have to catch up so that their people are empowered and the growth as such is inclusive, which it can be only when the benefit percolates to all sections of the society, particularly those who are at the subsistence level. Now, if the same yardstick gets applied, the poor countries who do not have the means to invest in R&D or develop new technologies or adapt technologies which are available, let alone mitigation, then they will be subjected to a condition where underdevelopment, poverty, and denial of opportunities gets perpetuated. That's why the world leaders, when they have met a couple of years ago at Copenhagen and subsequent meetings in Cancun and Durban, this issue has been discussed. A very small amount of $100 billion was committed for assisting the countries which need assistance, particularly the poor and the developing ones, or the LDCs, both for technologies and for adaptation. But very little has happened. You cannot wait endlessly, because as economies grow, energy intensity and emissions are bound to grow. It is true that those who have developed technologies have proprietary rights over those technologies, and the world accepts, and India too, the intellectual property rights, the IPRs. But I am one who is of this view. When it comes to the LDCs, when it comes to countries where majority of the people live on less than $1 a day, who do not have the resources, they need it more. Therefore, what use is the intellect of the world if it cannot be for the benefit of the humankind? It is not a question of which part of the earth a black hole is blown, where the pollution takes place. We are interconnected. It's bound to affect everyone. India, as a responsible nation state, has made its commitments. We have decided to voluntarily reduce our energy intensity and the emissions 20 to 25%. Now, these are voluntary steps. We are also investing in new technologies. Surely, in the coming months and years, we will see here in our own country and elsewhere in the world that there is more coordination and these technologies are made accessible. Reference was there about the manufacturing, job creation, and that is an imperative for all countries, but for countries like India too. The population of 1.2 billion people, and a large number of people, over 2/3 of the population, being young, aspirational, and stakeholders in the future. How do we create opportunities where they are participants and beneficiaries in a sustainable development and inclusive growth? Surely education and creation of jobs is a priority. 200 million plus Indians will be joining the workforce by 2022. So it's not an option, but a must for India to create at least 100 million jobs by 2020. It's an enormous social dimension. And that can come only through the manufacturing activity. And for the manufacturing activity, again, energy intensity, the kind of electricity or energy, and the other technologies which go into industrial production. I'll not elaborate, but under the new manufacturing policy, which is India's first, we made it very clear that green technologies will be incentivized. Skills training would be incentivized. There will be a pool created, the acquisition of the technologies, because there are many small and medium enterprises who will not have the resources to access such technologies. Besides what we can assimilate ourselves. We have been telling our interlocutors, other institutions in India and abroad, that there is need to create institutional linkages. This has to be done in a partnership, both innovation and assimilation of these environment-friendly technologies. Otherwise, Mr. Patroda and Dr. Pachauri had once again underscored the dangers as the world population rises, the adverse impact, and a very dangerous one, of the global warming and climate change, which will threaten food security, health security, and lead to complications which have a multiplier effect. To conclude, I'll only refer to the father of our nation. I'm happy that Sam talked about what Gandhi said and the sustainable development model. He was ahead of his time. What he said has an enduring relevance even in the 21st century world and will continue to be. He did talk of, among other things, and the empowerment of the people, both social and economic. He did talk of environment and development which was in harmony with the environment, and also of poverty alleviation. Poverty, we all know, perhaps is the most dangerous of all polluters in the world, because those who are submerged in poverty, those who are denied opportunities, it is there where our minds, our resources, and our efforts should be directed to. If people can be educated and they have the benefits of what others in the developed countries have been able to access to, we will be making at least some positive change in what is happening in the world, in our own society, and elsewhere. And for the organizations, for the states, governments, it's meaningless to have endless debates on this subject. What has been agreed to in the past must be honored. Technologies and resources must be made available to those who do not have the means to adapt and to mitigate, if planet Earth is to be saved. And next time when the leaders meet, what didn't happen at Durban, the second commitment of the Kyoto Protocol and the adherence to the roadmaps earlier agreed should be followed with all sincerity. I once again compliment TERI for taking this initiative and wish each one of you the very best in your deliberations. Thank you.